What's up YouTube? My name is Elliot Riggs, aka Manga Spawn, and I'm starting a new series of videos to kind of chronicle my video game collection and video game hunting efforts, and hope to kind of share information, hopefully find some cool stuff, meet some cool people, go to some different conventions and that sort of thing, and just really sort of have a history of my collection. Always been a gamer, but just kind of recently got into the actual collecting and hunting portion. What I'm going to do is go through where I currently am, so that maybe we can revisit after a certain period of time to see kind of what the hunting efforts do. Generally speaking, I go out to various Goodwills, thrift stores. Up here in Seattle, we don't really have a lot of outdoor stuff due to the rain. But I have found some really cool stuff, come across all sorts of systems, so there might be some videos around refurbishing things that you find. I'd really like to get some feedback from you guys on things that you might want to see. I know there's already a ton of content out there, so open to suggestions or things that you'd like to see, or questions that you have about various things. Hopefully this will be fun. Hopefully you enjoy the videos, and we'll go through the current game collection now and then do some shoutouts, and thanks for watching. Okay, so figured we'd start with sort of the most interesting stuff, the games. It's really what we're all hunting for, so kind of start at the top and work my way down. You know, not a whole lot of super interesting stuff in here. I won't spend a ton of time on each thing, but kind of got my boxed NES games up here. Slowly starting to try and collect all of the black box games. As you can see, Gyromite and Pinball are both complete. Pinball is from eBay. Gyromite I actually found at a thrift store box, which was cool. Dragon Warrior is a game I loved as a kid. It's actually in really good shape. I found that at a little local game store. Kind of beat up Sega Saturn box. And then we have this Famicom game, Transformers game, that is terrible to play, but I'm a big Transformers fan, so and you'll see a little Stanley Cup for Super Nintendo that was part of a big package of games that I bought. That who cares, it's a sports game. So moving on, we've got NES collection. It's definitely been growing quite a bit. Again, there's a few things in here that are recent pickups. Got some games that I've put in the universal game cases. It's kind of a pain to put NES games in there because you have to cut all of the little support things out that hold smaller cartridges. And then we've got a whole pile of like Atari, there's some ColecoVision, there's a few Intellivision, both of which I don't have. I do have an Atari. On to Super Nintendo. So I have been trying to put all of the Super Nintendo games into the universal game cases. Long run, this might not be doable. I mean, you can already see a few in there that aren't in game cases, namely because they're useless sports games. But you know, we've got some of the major games here: Mario, the Star Wars franchise, some weird little monster thing that I found. You know, Super Mario World, Mario Kart, classics. Cybernator is actually a game I was turned on to by some various videos online and various articles. It's kind of a cheaper version of Metal Warriors, if you're familiar with that game. Very fun game, definitely recommend it. Goomba Keep and Watch. I don't even really remember what's in these unlabeled ones. I'm working on getting the labels printed for those. Here we have CD games. So this is a mishmash of various PS1. There's some Sega Saturn games in there and Sega Dreamcast. So just actually picked up this CD case holder recently to try and give myself a little bit more space on the shelves for stuff like the cartridge games and that sort of thing. Tron Bonds, just a custom package. I only found the CD for that one on eBay, and it just, price keeps getting crazier, so happy to have that. Also have, you know, Mega Man Legends 1 and 2, so it's a complete set. Moving down here, we've got PS2 collection, which is probably the most robust collection I have currently. It seems to be one of the systems I find the most stuff for, which makes sense because it's the previous gen and people are dumping those. One sort of collection I am trying to work on is a complete collection of the US Altus releases, which is slowly but surely. They tend to be fairly expensive and hard to find games, but they do make some great RPGs, some really interesting different games. So if you're into Japanese RPGs or just kind of some weird games in general, they're pretty fun. More CD stuff over here. We have like Final Fantasy, a bunch of the dual disc cases that wouldn't fit on the CD case. We have a couple Sega Saturn games that are probably the couple rarest pickups that I've found so far. I found both of these at the same Goodwill for like $3.99 a piece, and they're both exceptionally rare games. And I also found this Sega Saturn import game, which is a weird Altus import game that I haven't gotten to play because I need the cartridge to play imports on my Saturn. So that's that. Nothing too special in here otherwise. Bunch of Dance Dance games. I do like Dance Dance. I just don't have my pad set up right now. Metal Gear Solid, you know, another classic game. Nothing too exciting. So yeah. Moving down, we have the N64 collection. Probably one of the smallest collections. It's really the system that Nintendo kind of lost me as a big fan on. I did have an N64, I did play some of the games, but I did move over to Sony at that point, mainly due to like the RPGs that they offered, and just I think generally being a little bit more affordable. It seemed like Nintendo's game prices never seemed to be reasonable, and Sony was doing a better job, so kind of made the switch over and around that console gen, and you know, haven't really gone back. I would like to see Nintendo doing better, but that's a whole nother discussion. Couple handhelds, mini Super Nintendo, mainly just a couple different Game Boys, few Game Boy games. And we have PS3 games and Sega Genesis games. PS3 primarily just the games that I'm not playing. My PS3 is up in living room connected to my nice TV, so I just put the games down here that I've finished or I'm not playing currently, so that they're not cluttering up the living room. Not a whole lot super special here. 2 copies of Catherine. One's the alternate box art, and it's a game I really, really like. Normally I don't care about sort of variants and that sort of thing, but that's a game that I really, really enjoyed. It's really weird and really messed up, so fair warning if you decide to play it, but it is a game that's gotten pretty cheap now, and definitely a fun pickup. Mass Effect Trilogy, it's another favorite game of mine, so that was really fun. Not too much there. As far as the Sega Genesis stuff, I never owned a Sega Genesis. I never owned any of the Sega systems growing up, so there's not a whole lot of nostalgia there, but I do find a lot of Sega Genesis when I'm out hunting, and there's definitely some good games on there that I would like to play, and now that I have a Genesis and games, I'm going to do that. Just a matter of finding time. Last shelf, this is just kind of some extra stuff. We have part of my car, the mirror, I don't know why that's there. Some empty game cases, little statue from Colonel Marines. Wii games, you know, not a huge Wii fan. There's some fun stuff on that system, but Like I said, you know, Nintendo hasn't really been my focus lately. We've got some GameCube games, same story. You know, I was playing PS2 at the time. Couple PSP games, Persona 4 Golden for Vita, which is basically the reason to own a Vita. It's a great game. If you're at all a RPG fan, you should definitely play that. It's really the best game out for the Vita right now, and it's almost worth spending the money for a Vita to get it. Then we have our Xbox games. Never had an Xbox, still don't particularly like Xbox. There is Conker's Reloaded, which is a game I do want to play, since I never got to play the Conker's Bad Fur Day on N64. This is a remake of that, so definitely want to actually sit down and play that. Most of this other stuff I've kind of picked up just as pieces to add to the collection, or to test systems, or because I bought it in sort of a bundle and ended up with some of these games and kept them. Do want to play some of the games on Xbox, just not real high on the priority list right now. Don't have a ton of time for it. So, all right, so that's pretty much everything. Oh, there's a few random PS1 games. So that's it for the actual like main part of the collection, the displayed part. Interesting part, I would say, as far as the games goes. Next, we're going to move into kind of my overflow area and the actual systems that I have set up and hooked up to a TV. All right, so here is the closet, or kind of the overflow area. This is where I'll store things that I've found that I'm either working on or need some work, need to be cleaned, extra parts, just kind of a whole bunch of random stuff, catch-all. Anybody that goes out hunting, I'm sure you have something similar where you're kind of hoarding parts or systems. Like this N64 doesn't have an expansion pack or anything in it, so it's just kind of for parts. If I find one that's a little beat up, or if I find one that I can, you know, put together with it and make one good working system, I'll do that. Other stuff we have in here, we've got a ColecoVision that needs to be cleaned up. That's actually going off to someone else pretty soon. Actually, after I finish shooting this, I'm going to take it apart and clean it up because it's pretty dirty. But I got it for free, so can't really say no when somebody offers you free stuff. Other stuff, we got a box full of various Xbox cables. I've fixed several Xbox 360s from the Red Ring of Death, so I've got like power supplies, hard drives, that sort of thing. One shelf down, we've actually got a couple Xbox 360s that still need to be fixed because they have the dreaded Red Ring of Death. Other interesting stuff, well, not really interesting. GameCube, there's a couple NESs back there that I have replaced the pin connectors on, but they still don't particularly read too well. So if you have any tips on that, I'd appreciate it. I'd like to make it so that I can at least pass them on to people that want them, but I want to make sure that they actually work. We have a VIC-20, which is by far, I think, the oldest system, I guess you'd call it a system or computer I own. I need to buy a cable for it so I can actually plug it in. I've tried the sort of adapter for the cable it has, and it doesn't output, so I'm not sure if the video is screwed up or the actual computer is screwed up. I mean, it is really old, but somebody took good care of it. I found it at Goodwill in the box and everything, so it's just kind of interesting things that they tout about it, like the barely any memory. I think it has like a few KB of memory. It's really small, but kind of cool. Hopefully, I would like to get it working because I'd actually like to kind of mess around with it. Other stuff, I mean, there's some boxes for Transformers and things in here, so just kind of a catch-all. We got some controllers, You know, this is just where stuff goes to be saved before it is sold or displayed or used, because I like to clean everything before it really goes into the collection or on eBay. So if you have any questions, or if you see anything that you actually desperately can't live without, please feel free to contact me. Last part of the game room tour, collection tour, whatever you want to call it, is the actual systems that I have set up, and kind of the game station. So we have clearly classic Nintendo systems, NES, Super NES, N64. All of those are the actual ones that I have had my entire life since I originally got them. I did pick up this little like third-party system because the NES is a little spotty on actually playing games, and it does actually also have a slot for Famicom games, which is kind of cool. So I can actually play some of the Famicom games, like that horrible Transformers one, which allowed me to realize how bad of a game it truly is. Super Nintendo, I generally play on the older one instead of the mini. Sometimes I'll take the mini upstairs or something and play it on a bigger TV. N64 is tried and true. Really the only upgrade is I finally put an expansion pack in that one so it can play some of the older games, or later in the life cycle games. We have a Sears version of the Atari 2600 that I actually found. It works great. Had to really open it up and clean it out. It was filthy, but it does work very nicely. It came with all of the connectors and controllers and everything. So that's been fun. We have right here is the Sega Saturn, which you can't really see. It's fine. It's pretty much just a black box. That was a system that I always liked playing. I remembered playing it in like stores, like the demo, and really enjoyed some of the games, and now I can actually finally play a few of those. It's an incredibly expensive system to collect for, and not one that you find many games in the wild for. So that's going to be a very slow collection, but there's definitely some games like the Panzer Dragoon saga and various things like that that I would like to play on it. And there was also a lot of really great arcade ports that really never made it onto another system. Continuing with the Sega theme, these last two shelves are a Sega Dreamcast that is got this like third-party yellow case, and it also has, I don't know if you guys can see that, but some weird switch on the side. I have not been able to figure out what this does. It basically makes the disc spin even when the case is opened, but I tried putting an import game in there and it didn't really do anything. It couldn't read it, so I don't know if that's for like a boot disc or some other kind of video mod. I can't really figure it out. It does play the games perfectly fine though, so that's pretty cool. I have actually found quite a few Dreamcast. I just like that this one's in a yellow case. And you probably can't really see it. Let's see if I can drag it out. Got a Model 3 Sega Genesis. I've had several Model 2s, a Model 1, and finally found the Model 3, which is pretty cool, and it's nice because it's so tiny it can fit on that little shelf and barely take up any space. Up top here we have got some zappers, Mario, big transformer, another transformer hiding down there. You can see my tripod, that's super professional. PS2, it's great because you can play PS1 and PS2 games on it. And this super old TV that doesn't even have AV plugins, and is actually dying on me. It's like washing out all of the color, so that's actually going to be replaced very soon with a much more modern TV, but one that I've tested with some of these old systems, and it actually looks really good. So I will probably do a video displaying that, because the general consensus seems to be that you have to play on one of these old tube TVs or an older CRT monitor for older games to look good. But at least to my eyes, I've plugged it into a plasma that I have and it looks great. So the plan is to move that TV into this room and get a new TV for our bedroom. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for looking at the collection with me. Really excited to start this project. Last thing I have is just a few shout outs for a few of the various YouTube channels that have kind of inspired me to start doing this. First off, we have the Game Chasers. If you haven't watched their channel, it's really good. I strongly recommend it. If somehow you found me without seeing any of their videos or any of the people I'm about to mention, go watch their videos. There's a ton of great information. It's funny, it's entertaining. Just really go watch them. Game Chasers are great. A couple guys in Texas that go around to various swap meets, game stores. A lot of great information. They found some amazing things I'm really jealous of that they've managed to track down, and really fun YouTube channel. So again, the Game Chasers. Next, Pat the NES Punk. I think if you're into video games, you know who this is. He's got the NES World Championship carts. He has pretty much, I think, a full run of NES games. I think he's missing stadium events, which aren't we all? He's got some great videos about going to flea markets, how not to get kind of screwed over, or sort of prices you should pay on things, things to be careful of, plus just some super entertaining reviews about various NES games. Kind of opened my eyes because I didn't get to play a ton of NES and Super NES games. So some interesting things there. Next we have Arcade Impossible, which is kind of different. These guys go out looking for actual arcade machines. He's built like an entire arcade in his basement. It's actually one of the very first kind of series I started watching when I started getting into this. It's great videos. They've done an amazing job setting this stuff up. And again, just really entertaining to watch. Maybe someday I'll have the room for a couple arcade machines. I would definitely enjoy that. Finally are the two people that have really inspired me to do this the most. The first one is Machine Games Texas. So if you haven't watched his videos, he does a lot of videos about the various pickups that he's done, you know, various games that he's found. He's done some great videos around hunting at Goodwill, where he actually takes the camera into the Goodwills and kind of shows you where he looks for stuff. There's some great information there if you're trying to do the same, which is, like I said, primarily where I do all of my hunting. So definitely go watch him, follow him. And then finally is one of my good friends. His name is Famicomplex. He's done some great video reviews of some various games. Some of them are really funny, some are just kind of straightforward. They're great, they're all very well produced, very well done, and trying to kind of get him doing more because he hasn't done one in a while. So go and pester him to do more videos. And thanks so much for watching. If you want to follow me, I'm manga_spawn on Twitter. You know, if you follow me, I'll definitely follow you back. Like the video, like the YouTube channel, and I'll keep this going. Thanks so much for your time, and thanks for watching the video, and I hope to see you soon.